have the votes and proceedings? Okay. Votes and proceedings. Votes and proceedings. Page 2391, 2392, 2393, 2394, 2395, 2396, 2397, 2398, 2399, page 2400, 2401, 2402, 2403, 2404, 2405, 2406, 2407, 2408, 2409, 2410. Page 2411, 2412, 2413, 2414, 2415, 2416, 2417, 2418, 2419, 2420. Page 2421, 2422, 2423, 2424, 2425, 2426, 2427, 2428, 2429, 2430. Page 2431, 2432, 2433, 2434, 2435, 2436, 2437, 2438, 2439, 2440. Page 2441, 2442, 2443, 2444, 2445, 2446, 2447, 2448, 2449, 2450. Page 2451, 2452, 2453, 2455, 2455, 2455, 2456, 2457, 2458, 2459, 2460. Page 2461, 2462, 2463, 2464, 2465, 2466, 2467, 2468, 2469, page 2470, page 2471, 2472, 2473, 2474, 2475, 2476, 2477, 2478, 2479, 2480. Page 2481, 2482, 2483, 2484, 2485, 2486, 2487, 2488, 2489, 2490. Page 2491, 2492, 2493, 2494, 2495, 2496, 2497, 2498, 2499, 2500. Page 2501, 2502, 2503, 2504, 2505, 2506, 2507, 2508, 2509, 2510. Page 2511, 2512, 2513, 2514, 2515, 2516, 2517, 2518, 2519, 2520. Page 2521, 2522, 2523, 2524, 2525, 2526, 2527, 2528, 2529, 2530. Page 2531, 2532, 2533, 2534, 2535, 2536, 2537, 2538, 2539, 2540. Page 2541, 2542, 2543, 2544. Distinguished Senator Bima Mohamed Enagi.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, my highly respected distinguished colleagues. My name is Senator Bima Mohamed Enagi. I represent the people of Niger South from Niger State. I rise to move that the Senate
there was a girl I've been looking for.
1st February 2022. I so move. Thank you.
Distinguished Senator Nicholas Tofomo.
Senate President, good morning, sir. I, Senator Tofomo of Ondo South, I move to second votes and proceedings of Tuesday, 1st February 2022. I so second. Thank you.
Thank you. Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion that the votes and proceedings of Tuesday, 1st February 2022 be approved, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. The votes and proceedings of Tuesday, 1st February 2022 shall be approved. Letter from Mr. President. Dear distinguished Senate President, request for the confirmation of appointment of 4 commissioners for the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission. Pursuant to Section 34 of the Electricity Power Sector Reform Act, I hereby present for confirmation by the Senate the appointment of the underlisted nominees as commissioners for the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission (NEC). Copies of their CVs are attached herewith. 1. Dr. Yusuf as commissioners for the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission (NEC). Engineer copies of their CVs are attached herewith. Southeast. 1. Mr. Dr. Yusuf as commissioners for the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission (NEC). Engineer copies of their CVs are attached herewith. Southeast. 1. Mr. Dr. Yusuf commissioners for the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission (NEC). Engineer copies of their CVs are attached herewith. Southeast. One,
Must Dr. As commissioners for the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission, copies of their CVs are attached here.
Letter from Mr. President, dear distinguished Senate President, confirmation of appointment of executive directors. Letter from Mr. President, dear Senate President. In accordance with the provision of Section 41, subsection 2 of the Petroleum Industry Act 2021, I am pleased to forward for confirmation by the Senate the appointment of the underlisted 5 nominees as executive directors of the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority. 1. Francis Alabo Ogari, Executive Director, Hydrocarbon Processing Plants, Installations and Transportation Infrastructure. 2. Dr. Mustafa Lamarde, Executive Director, Health, Safety, Environment and Community. 3. Mansour Kulia, Executive Director, Midstream and Downstream Gas Infrastructure Fund. 4. Bashir Sadiq, Executive Director, Corporate Services and Administration. And 5. Dr. Zainab Gobir, Executive Director, Economic Regulations and Strategic Planning. In order to fast-track the effective takeoff and decision-making in the newly established Regulatory Commission, a Regulatory Authority, the distinguished Senate is kindly requested to consider and confirm the nominees in the usual expeditious manner. Please accept, distinguished Senate President, the assurances of my highest consideration. Yours sincerely, Muhammadu Buhari. Another letter from Mr. President, dear distinguished Senate President, confirmation of the appointment of Executive Director of the Nigerian Deposit Insurance Corporation. In compliance with Section 5, Subsection 4 of the Nigerian Deposit Insurance Corporation Act 2010, I write to forward for confirmation by the Senate the appointment of Mrs. Emily Chidimma Osuji as the Executive Director of the Nigerian Deposit Insurance Corporation. Her CV is attached here. It is my hope that the Senate will consider and confirm the nominee in the usual expeditious manner. Please accept, distinguished Senate President, the assurances of my highest consideration. Yours sincerely, Muhammadu Buhari. Letter from distinguished Senator H.A. Dimka, Federal Republic of Nigeria, Plateau Central Senatorial District, Chairman, Senate Committee on Drugs and Narcotics. Your Excellency, notification of interest to contest in the Plateau State gubernatorial election. I write to formally inform you of my interest and intention to vie for the governorship office of my dear Plateau State. In a time like this, Plateau needs a governor who can best protect the legacies of good governance and credible leadership, as well as consolidate the vision and achievements of the present administration led by His Excellency, Right Honorable Simon Lalong, the Executive Governor of Plateau State. You will agree with me that the present governor has transformed the state into a model that many are copying from, especially in enhancing good governance and socio-economic transformation. I want to appeal to you to support me on this noble project in order to translate the shared vision into reality, as I rely on our long-standing relationship. By the grace of God, I've gotten what it takes the capacity, the experience, following my 35 years in various leadership positions and brilliant exposure in security issues, and having played a progressive role in the Ninth Senate, the tremendous knowledge and wealth of experience gained so far in public service have further strengthened my confidence in taking the next step. While counting on your prayers, well wishes, and support, please accept the assurance of my distinguished regards. Yours sincerely, Senator Hezekiah A. Dimka, Plateau Central Senatorial District. Best of luck to our distinguished colleague. We'll go and continue to pray for you so that you will succeed by the grace of God. DSP, is there anything? We believe in the power of prayers. Petitions, DSP.
Thank you, Mr. President. Ovi Omo Agege, Delta Central Senatorial District. Mr. President, I have before me a petition signed by G.O. Yabaka and co-legal petitioners on behalf of my constituents, the River Niger Focados and Remorse Amalgamated Communities Association. Mr. President, the petition is dated the 15th day of December 2021, and it is against the activities of the international oil companies such as Shell, Ajib, etc. Mr. President, the petition alleges continuous pervasive freshwater marine pollution by the activities of these IOCs. Mr. President, the petition seeks the intervention of the Senate. And I can assure Mr. President and my colleagues that there is no pending litigation over this matter.
Yes, we may lay the petition. The petition is referred to the Committee on Ethics, Privileges and Public Petitions to report back within 4 weeks.
Petition.
Petition, Senator Ezenwa Oyewuchi.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. My name is Senator Ezenwa Oyewuchi, and I represent Imo East Senatorial District. Mr. President, I have a petition from my constituent, Prince C.A.C. Joseph, a former staff of University Teaching Hospital, Enugu, and the Federal Civil Service. The petitioner states in his letter dated the 28th of April 1999 that he was untimely retired from the Federal Civil Service. The petitioner alleges that his retirement was unconstitutional, unfair, and premeditated. The petitioner further alleges that he lost 10 years of service due to his untimely retirement. He therefore urges this distinguished Senate to look into this matter and restore his 10 years of denied service with a commensurate lump sum to cover all losses of salaries, promotions, and allowances owed to date. Thank you, Mr. President.
Is the petitioner seeking any judicial remedy? You may lead the petition, please. The petition is referred to the Committee on Ethics, Privileges and Public Petitions to report back within 4 weeks. Petition, Senator Mika Takumbo, Abiru, Lagos East.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Mr. President and my distinguished colleagues, I have a petition from some of my constituents who are the residents of Magodo Resident Association in Lagos. They have brought a complaint against the Attorney General and the Minister of Justice and the Inspector General of Police for the illegal invasion of Magodo GRA Phase 2 in Ikosi, Isheri local government area of Oshofe local government in Lagos. And the invasion was done by the men of the Nigerian police in a bid to illegally execute a court judgment. They are seeking the Senate's intervention in the matter for the policemen to be withdrawn from the estate and to allow Lagos State government to conclude with its ongoing amicable resolution of the matter. They have not sought any judicial remedy. Mr. President, with your kind permission, I would like to lay the petition before the Senate. Thank you very much, sir.
Well, since they are not seeking any judicial remedy, you may lay the petition, please.
Thank you, Mr. President.
The petition is referred to the Senate Committee on Ethics, Privileges and Public Petitions to report back within 4 weeks. Any more petitions? Senator Ayo Akin-Alure.
Thank you, Mr. President. Distinguished colleagues, my name remains Senator Ayo Akin-Alure, representing Ondo Central, Mr. President. Presentation of question not late or referred to the Committee on Ethics from the Office of the Plenary of the Senate. The Senate Committee on Ethics, Privileges and Public Petitions, in line with Order 41 and 3, which is to present to the Senate some petitions yet to be laid from the Office of the Plenary of the Senate in order to officially place the petition in public domain through the floor of the Senate and for the votes and proceedings to capture the approval for referral. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, please find below a summary of petitions received from the Senate President Office for ease of reference. 1. Comrade Emmanuel Onwubiko, on behalf of Human Rights Writers Association of Nigeria, against Professor Rhoda H. Gumos, subject matter of the petition. Petition against the confirmation of Professor Rhoda H. Gumos, nomination as a National Electoral Commissioner for Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, on the basis of a political membership. 2. Salau Ladan Wunti, against Power Holding Company of Nigeria, petition on the termination of my appointment. 3. JP Israel and 3 others, on behalf of foreign trained medical dental graduates, against Medical and Dental Council of Nigeria, appeal for immediate intervention to review the exorbitant non-refundable fee of foreign trained medical and dental graduates. 4. Raymond Aderejo and 4 others, on behalf of Niger Delta Insecurity oil producing communities. Respondent, Chevron Nigeria Limited. Reported letter and deliberate negligence of Insecurity oil producing communities, most especially Olero, DB and Ebiteye field oil producing communities in Niger Delta region. Number 5, Mr. President, Akiolu Tikende SAN against Patricia Ori Kupchi. Petition against the nomination for reappointment and or confirmation of reappointment of Patricia Ori Kupchi, also known as Patricia Ori Inyaya, as Federal Commissioner of the National Population Commission for Benue State for another term. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, to the best of my knowledge, none of the above petitioners is seeking judicial remedy. I therefore move, Mr. President, to seek the indulgence of the Senate to lay the above petitions before the Senate for official referral to the committee for further legislative action. I so move, Mr. President.
Well, since none of the petitioners is seeking any judicial remedy, you may lay the petitions, please. You may lay the petitions, please. The petitions are referred to the Committee on Ethics, Privileges and Public Petitions to report back within 4 weeks. Any more petitions? Leader of the Senate.
Point of order, sir.
Point of order, Senator Bello Mandia, Katsina South.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. My name is Bello Mandia, I represent Katsina South. Mr. President, I would like to come on order 41 and 51. With your kind permission, if I may read.
You may proceed.
The matter for discussion shall, if possible, be referred to the President of the Senate before commencement of the day's sitting, and the President of the Senate shall refuse to allow the claim unless he is satisfied that the matter is definite and urgent. And 51, sir. Order 51. Notice shall not be dispensed within the case of a motion or in respect of any other proceeding for which notice is required except with the consent of the President of the Senate and the general assent of senators present. Mr. President, my motion is on the kidnapping of 38 of my constituents on Sunday.
You have come under orders 42?
No, 41-51, sir.
41-51?
Yes, sir.
Okay, that requires that you get the endorsement of at least 1/5
Yes, sir.
of senators here.
Yes, sir.
Distinguished colleagues, our colleague Senator Bello Mandia wants us to endorse his request for him to present a motion on the abduction of 38 of his constituents by bandits. Those in favor will say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. May proceed.
Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Senator Bello Mandia, I represent Katsina South. Urgent need for federal government to take drastic actions to bring to an end to the act of banditry and kidnapping in the local government area of Katsina State. The Senate notes that the act of banditry and kidnapping has become a daily incidence now in Katsina, with its consequence of loss of lives, means of livelihood, and displacement of communities. Further notes that on Sunday, 31st January 2022, government struck Rongodia, a community in the local government area of Katsina State, where 38 members of the community were kidnapped. Aware that the federal government had made frantic effort in curbing the menace by setting up Operation Sharandaji, an interagency task force to tackle cases of banditry, cattle rustling, and kidnapping in Katsina State. Worried that the continuous security challenges and related attacks by bandits on towns, villages, communities in the local government area have meted untold hardship on the people and have subjected the affected areas under serious survival threat. And further worried that if this menace is not drastically promptly addressed, the consequence is going to be huge on food sufficiency, since the affected communities are mostly farmers. Accordingly resolves to all the security agencies to come all non-hideouts of the kidnappers in a bid to rescue the 38 persons abducted by the government in Rongodia. 2. All the federal government to send enough military personnel, fighter jets to apprehend the bandits and restore normalcy in these areas. I so move, Mr. President.
Thank you. Senator Kabir Allah Barkia, Katsina Central.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. I'm Senator Kabir Abdullah Barkia, representing Katsina. I rise to support very important motion.
Yes.
Mr. President, I can say that enough is enough. Because what is happening now in Katsina, this shows that yes, we have to not only condemn it, we have to do something very serious. Because we cannot just sit down after declaring these bandits terrorists and then allow them again to continue with all these rubbish acts. So, Mr. President, we have to really look at it critically. I suggest that, yes, to me, I am saying that, yes, the security agent, of course, maybe we assume that they are doing their best, but to me, I think they need to do another best. Because look at 38 people. How can they just go and kidnap 38 people? After declaring these people as terrorists, why can't we just hear the few civilians in the bush and go and burn all of them there? Because we have to do something. Just condemning every day is not enough. So, Mr. President, I'm calling not only just condemning or maybe ask, maybe say Neymar to do something. We have to definitely look at it and then do something seriously. To me, it's just to go to all those buildings. We know where they are. Everybody knows where they are located. Why can't we go there and say that the few civilians will stay with them and then bomb all of them? I think that's the only solution remain there. Thank you very much, Mr. President, and distinguished colleagues.
Distinguished Senator Muhammad Adamalero.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. I remain Muhammad Adamalero representing Kebbi Central. Mr. President, I like to support this very important motion. It is indeed a national disgrace that this thing is happening on a daily basis. Something needs to be done urgently, and our security forces have to be encouraged, have to be supported. If it is issue of lack of manpower, Mr. President, we should recruit more policemen to ensure that every part of this country we have enough security agents to take care of this menace. If it is the issue of recruitment in the army, we should also do the same. We have provided support to the security agents. Remember last year alone, on supplementary appropriation, we approved over 865 billion naira. And this year's budget, I know we have close about 1.2 trillion naira. Mr. President, we are spending so much, and we are getting little in terms of, the outcome. By now, we are supposed to have a very peaceful country, but unfortunately, on a daily basis, we hear people being kidnapped, we hear people being killed. Like my colleague said, enough is enough. There is need for security agents to do whatever is humanly possible to curb this situation. It is a national disgrace and things need to be done. I urge all my colleagues to support this very important motion. Thank you.
Senator Abdul.
Thank you, Mr. President. Distinguished colleagues. The issue of banditry in this country has assumed a very alarming proportion, Mr. President. Every day we hear of kidnapping, and it is said, Mr. President, that when Kaduna South, Katsina South sneezes, Kaduna North catches cold. I border Katsina South, and what is happening today is, to say the least, very disturbing. 2 days ago, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, a woman, a very industrious one, sold some farm items, and the bad boys around her neighborhood went and informed these bandits. They came at night to shoot at the husband, who, upon hearing the movements of these bandits came out with a den gun to try to put them off him. And the woman was equally taken along, kidnapped. And few meters from the house, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, she was equally shot at and the leg was broken and dumped there in the pool of her blood. The testimonies we have been receiving around the country are really testimonies that should get us moving. And I'm tempted to ask, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, where are the Tucano fighter jets that were recently acquired by the federal government and heavily celebrated by all of us that these bandits have really come home to roost? Unfortunately, we are now being told that Nigeria will need a second layer of approval for it to use these Tucano fighter jets against these bandits that we have all agreed should be termed terrorists. I think, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the whole nation should rise and get whatever that is needed to be gotten for the use of this fighter jet on these bandits for us to move forward. We should, as a nation, rise and get secure on this approval from wherever it can be gotten. Mr. President, in Kaduna today, 9 people are kidnapped daily. We just came out of a security summit that reports were taken across. So I assume that this is something that must be done and should be taken with all seriousness. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I sympathize with my colleague from Katsina State and do hope that we will be hearing less and less of such incidences across the country. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. President. My distinguished colleagues, I want to contribute on this motion, which is very important to the survival of the peasant farmers we have, especially in my constituency. Just 2 days back, there was renewed attacks in my district where so many people, including the security personnel, were killed. And from what I heard reliably is that this attack was done by members of the Boko Haram, because what happened is like they joined the villagers in the mosques. And when the villagers now identify some of them and neutralize them, these people now came back and attacked the whole village of Galadima Kubu. So I think what happened in Faskari local government is just reminiscent of what is happening around Niger East Senatorial District. And I want the federal government to direct and order the armed forces to re-strategize, because whenever they are in one location, these people move freely on their motorbikes. You will see them in numbers, 200, 300. And I cannot believe that we don't have any imaginary instruments that will be able to locate these people when they are moving in just such a large batch. So I think the military need to wake up and do the needful. That is my contribution, Mr. President. Thank you.
Let's go to the prayers. Urge the security agencies to comb all known hideouts of the kidnappers in a bid to rescue the 38 persons abducted by the gunmen in Ruangodia. Those in favor say aye. Those against any, that's and Prayer 2, urge the federal government to send enough military personnel and fighter jets to apprehend bandits and restore normalcy in these areas. Those in favor of this prayer say aye. Aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Thank you very much, distinguished colleagues, for the various interventions. Let me also say that the expectation of this Senate is that there is supposed to be a remarkable difference in success in terms of the fight against insurgency, banditry, and militancy in Nigeria. The military is getting better funding from the government, and what we expect is to see improvement in output. I know the resources are not enough, but recently, in the last 1 year or 1.5 years, government has upscaled the level of funding for our military. Secondly, when we declared the bandits as terrorists, my understanding was that they are going to be dealt with ruthlessly now. I wonder whether that is the case.
It's not.
The military, like some of our colleagues have said, need to work up. We want to see a difference because we have made a difference in terms of funding. I know funding alone will not be enough, but funding can make a difference, and we expect a difference in outcome. Thirdly, we need to mobilize our citizens, because when 100 people will be kidnapped or abducted, they are not taken by aircrafts, they are taken on motorbikes, pass through villages and possibly towns. How come nobody will say, I've seen something? Saying when you see something, say something is not enough. Those who are supposed to mobilize citizens, NOAA, and so on and so forth, need to do better. We need our citizens to be part and parcel of our security architecture. In fact, there's no way we can achieve better security for this country without the participation of the citizens in the fight against insecurity. It's not possible. So we need to mobilize our citizens, at least to provide information that will help our security agencies. Thank you very much, distinguished colleagues. Leader of the Senate.
I need confirmation.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the first business of the day is the presentation of a house bill standing in my name on the School of Mines and Geological Studies, Akoko, Edo Local Government Establishment Bill 2022. Mr. President, we wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, School of Mines and Geological Studies, Akoko, Edo Local Government Establishment Bill 2022, SB 441, first reading.
School of Mines and Geological Studies, Akoko, Edo Local Government Establishment Bill 2022, HB 441, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
This one.
Mr. President,
This is an APC card.
my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the second business of the day is the presentation of our bill standing in the name of the distinguished Senator Onyewuchi Ezenwa on the National University Commission Act N81 2004 Amendment Bill 2022. Mr. President, we wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, National Universities Commission Act CAF N81 2004 Amendment Bill 2022, SB 879, first reading.
National Universities Commission Act Amendment Bill 2022 SB 879, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the third business of the day is the presentation of a bill strengthening in the name of distinguished Senator Mohammed Sani Musa on the Firearms Act Cap F28 Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004 Repeal and Reenactment Bill 2022. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Firearms Act Cap F28 LFN 2004 Repeal and Reenactment Bill 2022 SB 889, first reading.
Firearms Act Repeal and Reenactment Bill 2022 SB 889, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the fourth business of the day is the presentation of a bill standing in the name of distinguished Senator Francis Ali Makena on the Federal College of Fisheries and Aquatic Studies, Igara, Edo State Establishment Bill 2022. Mr. President, we wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Federal College of Fisheries and Aquatic Studies, Igara, Edo State Establishment Bill 2022, SB 908, first reading.
Federal College of Fisheries and Aquatic Studies, Igara, Edo State Establishment Bill 2022, SB 908, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Order. Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the fifth business of the day is the presentation of a bill standing in the name of distinguished Senator Augustine Obi-Omo Agege on the Corporate Affairs Commission CAC Act 2020 Amendment Bill 2022. Mr. President, we want to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Corporate Affairs Commission CAC Act 2020 Amendment Bill 2022 SB 910, first reading.
Corporate Affairs Commission CSC Act 2020 Amendment Bill 2022 SB 910, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected colleagues, the first order of the day is the second reading of the National Social Security Commission Establishment Bill 2022. The distinguished senators will recall that the bill was read the first time in this distinguished chamber on Tuesday, 25th January 2022. Mr. President, we wish to invite distinguished Senator Augustine Obi-Omo Agege, the Deputy Senate President, for the motion to be read the second time.
The DSP.
Thank you, Mr. President. Obi-Omo Agege, Delta Central Senatorial District. Mr. President, I rise to lead the debate for the second reading of a bill for an act to establish the National Social Security Commission for the regulation, management, and administration of social security benefits and services and other related matters, 2022 SB 899. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, as part of the fundamental objectives and directive principles of state policy, Section 14, subsection 2B of the 1999 Constitution as amended declares that the security and welfare of the people shall be the primary purpose of government. Mr. President, proper attention to this constitutional declaration is essential to sustainable peace, unity, and shared prosperity of our people. The time has come, Mr. President, for us as representatives of the people to enact a bold, viable, and progressive act to protect the welfare of our people, especially the weak, the vulnerable,
and the voiceless. Mr. President, it is therefore my honor to humbly ask all distinguished senators of this ninth Senate to support this motion for the second reading of the Bill for an Act to establish the National Social Security Commission for the regulation, management, and administration of social security benefits and services and other related matters, 2022 SB 899. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, history teaches us that how a nation treats its poor, the weak, and vulnerable citizens reflects its best values and shapes its governance, progress, and future. Over the years, Mr. President, successive governments have acted in many ways to protect our people's security and welfare. The reality, however, is that there is still a huge and unsustainable gulf between the poor, the weak, the vulnerable, and the voiceless on the one hand, and the rich and the government on the other hand. Mr. President, historically, this divide has been a major threat to national cohesion, peace, and stability in our polity. As leaders, it is our solemn constitutional obligation to respond effectively to this clear challenge. Humbly, it is my thoughtful view that an act of this parliament that focuses on the necessities of the ordinary Nigerian itself is a necessity for our nation. This is the essential spirit, Mr. President, driving this all-important bill. Mr. President, Nigeria is a signatory to the Social Security Minimum Standards Convention 1952, number 102 of the International Labour Organization, ILO. This convention articulates globally agreed minimum social security standards in 9 domains. Mr. President, except employment injury benefit that is already statutorily covered in Nigeria, 8 of the domains are uncovered and they are the focus of this bill. Mr. President, consistent with Convention number 102, which allows nations to enact social security laws based on their own peculiarities, but without prejudice to the global minimum standards, this bill seeks to provide a comprehensive legal and governance framework for the proper administration of an inclusive national security protection system that offers adjustable periodic benefits to eligible Nigerians who face improvidence arising from the 8 uncovered domains, which are as follows. 1, medical care of a preventive or curative nature, including any morbid condition of whatever cause. 2, sickness, including incapacity to work, resulting from a morbid condition and involving suspension of historical, ascertained, and verifiable earnings. 3, unemployment, including suspension of historical and verifiable earnings due to inability to obtain suitable employment by a fit and proper citizen who is available for work. 4, old age, and this applies exclusively to citizens who are 1, at least 70 years of age, 2, not engaged in any gainful employment and or not a beneficiary of any retirement benefit, or 3, earning above a prescribed threshold of income. 5, broken or unsustainable family maintenance, which applies to a parent or a guardian's inability to undertake his or her responsibility to maintain a child. 6, excessive maternity burdens, which applies to unfunded or poorly funded pregnancy, leading to suspension of ascertained earnings. 7, invalidity, which applies exclusively to inability to engage in any gainful activity due to permanent inability after exhaustion of sickness benefits. And 8, survivors, which applies exclusively to loss of breadwinner support suffered by children and widows who are incapable of self-support. Mr. President, this bill seeks to establish a commission which shall, amongst others, determine the beneficiaries of social security benefits across the country, taking into consideration available resources, equity, severity of ascertained improvident conditions and contingencies, and such other factors that will promote national peace, unity, and security through the social security system. It is carefully organized in 13 parts as follows, Mr. President. Part 1 is the objectives of the bill. Part 2, establishment of the National Security Commission, powers, functions, etc. Part 3 establishes establishment of the board of the commission, functions and powers, membership, etc. Part 4, offices of the commission and acquisition of property. Part 5, staff of the commission. Part 6, remuneration of board members and staff of the commission. Part 7, coverage, registration and ineligibility, etc. Part 8, offenses. Part 9, financial provisions. Part 10, annual reports. Part 11, deregistration of beneficiary. Part 12, legal proceedings. And Part 13, miscellaneous provisions. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the general merits and principles of this bill clearly show that the statutory requirements for the Commission to function properly and realize the objectives of this bill have been comprehensively articulated. Further, in line with Order 76.3 of the Senate Standing Orders 2022 as amended, a compendium of the background and financial implications of this bill is attached herewith for your consideration. To give greater effect to Section 14(2)(b) of the Constitution of 1999 as amended, by protecting the poor, the weak, the vulnerable, and the voiceless across the country, and for the greater good of our Republic, I hereby humbly move for the second reading of this bill. I so move, Mr. President, and thank you for the opportunity.
Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, I would like to start, Mr. President, by thanking the Deputy Senate President for spearheading this very, very, very important and vital legislation. I think today, if we pass the second reading and continue the legislative process to its logical conclusion and get this bill signed by the President, I think it's one of the most important landmark legislations for which the history of this country will remember this National Assembly. Mr. President, this is an important pro-poor legislation for protecting and providing a safety net for the people of this country. And I think it is incumbent on all of us as leaders and responsible citizens of this nation to realize that providing a safety net for citizens is a protection, that the Senate President said, for all of us and for the survival of our democracy and our republic. Mr. President, I again commend the Deputy Senate President, particularly when we look at the initiatives that this government started when it assumed office in 2015. That is the social investment programs for which this particular National Assembly appropriated a lot of money. Initially, they did about 500 billion, to provide for citizens. But we have not been able to provide legislative guidelines for the ways in which this funding, as vital as it is properly channeled. Now, if we have this particular legislation, a lot of the issues that are being dealt with piecemeal in our social intervention programs can easily be captured and channeled in a proper way so that we can be able to, address the challenges that the poor people of this country face through an organized, disciplined, and programmatic manner. I don't want to talk too much, but I think all of us are very sensitive, irrespective of party differences, about the importance of this, particularly in that it is going to cure a lot of the security challenges and a lot of the misdemeanors
among our youth, and along our old people, and along even the disinherited, so that we can provide succor for our own people and provide peace and security for our entire nation. I want to thank you and also want to thank the Deputy Secretary for this initiative, and hope all our members are on board so that we can be able to get this second reading passed and get all the necessary legislative processes to make sure that this bill is passed into law. I thank you, Mr. President. I thank you, my colleagues.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. Aliu Sabi Abdullahi, Niger North. Mr. President, let me also lend my voice in thanking the Deputy Senate President for this very laudable bill. Like I said yesterday, this is another people-centered legislative intervention. And if we look at the myriad of social insecurity as enunciated in this bill, I think what the Senate leader said is definitely the truth. That is, it will be a landmark legislation that Nigerians will remember this night Senate for. Mr. President, many times you see advertisements of citizens who are suffering from many health conditions. Definitely some of these, if those people can take care of that problem, they will not want to be advertised in the condition in which they are. And I think a nation is judged by the kind of attention it pays to the vulnerable, the weak, and the have-nots in a society. And I think our nation must not be judged continuously on the basis of our lackadaisical attitude to those who are dearly in need, either through some very debilitating sickness, like we have seen, or maybe those who suffer from accidents at no fault of theirs and are left to their fate. In fact, Mr. President, including those who have given out their life to even defend us, sometimes the system does not have sufficient grounds or mechanisms to take care of what they suffer as a result of carrying out their duties or their service. And like the mover of the bill, the sponsor of the bill, said, if you look at the number of areas this bill will be intervening, I think we will definitely be helping those who are weak in our society. And I sincerely submit, Mr. President, that we should do all we can to make sure that this bill not only see the light of the day, but becomes a bill that we should take sincere and personal interest as a legislature, so that when the bill comes to be, all the things that needs to happen are done without any political patronage, because they are citizens of this country that deserve to be protected. Just yesterday, distinguished Senator Naala told us that we must be humane. And I think this bill is also another humane bill, in the sense that you are looking at those who are having serious challenges and do not know where to turn to. In conclusion, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I know just recently you supported one of our members in the press corps. How many Nigerians will be this lucky? I think this bill will help to provide equity, as it has been stated, so that every Nigerian who is in the category of painful situations as listed in this bill can be rest assured that yes, the nation has remembered them, and there is a legislation that is designed to tackle the problems they have. Mr. President, I urge my colleagues to support that this bill be read the second time. I so submit.
Is anybody against the bill, please? Okay. Those in favor that this bill be now read the second time, say aye. Those against, any, the ayes have it. Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act establishing the National Social Security Commission, NASCOM, for the regulation, management, and administration of social security benefits and services and other related matters 2022, SB 899, second reading.
A bill for an act to establish the National Social Security Commission, NASCOM, for the regulation, management, and administration of social security benefits and services and other related matters 2022, second reading taken. And the bill is referred to the Committee on Establishment and Public Service to report back within 4 weeks. Leader of the Senate. Leader, your mic is not on.
Thank you, sir. Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the second order of the day is the second reading of the National Veterinary Research Institute Gombe Establishment Bill 2021. Distinguished senators will recall that the bill was read the first time in this distinguished chamber.
Chief Whip, that axis is noisy, please.
Yeah, distinguished colleagues will recall that the bill was read the first time in this distinguished chamber on Tuesday, 5th October 2021. Mr. President, you will wish to invite distinguished Senator Said Ahmed Al-Khali to move the motion for the bill to be read the second time.
Distinguished Senator Said Ahmed Al-Khali.
Thank you, Mr. President. My very distinguished and respected colleagues, I am Senator Said Al-Khali, and I represent Gombe North. Mr. President, my distinguished colleagues, I rise to move for the lead debate on National Veterinary Research Institute Gombe Establishment Bill 2021 SB 782. Introduction of the bill. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I am delighted to lead a debate on National Veterinary Research Institute Gombe Establishment Bill 2021, which seek to fill an institutional gap by facilitating the establishment of this research institute in Gombe. The bill was read the first time on 5th October 2021 and currently slated for second reading. The establishment of this research institute is deserving and timely to support the overstretched only National Veterinary Research Institute in Nigeria. The choice of Gombe is largely informed by its famous nature as animal production state in the country. Section 2 is the background. Livestock production constitutes a very important component of agricultural economy of developing countries. A contribution that goes beyond direct food production to include multipurpose uses such as skin, fiber, fertilizer, and fuel, as well as capital accumulation. Furthermore, livestock are closely linked to the social and cultural life of several million resource-poor farmers for whom animal ownership ensures varying degrees of sustainable farming and economic stability. This proposal oriented from the need to establish an institutional framework to support the only veterinary research institute in Bom, Plateau State. The National Veterinary Research Institute was established in 1924 with an initial mandate to combat the rinderpest outbreak that has devastated Nigerian cattle population in the late 19th and 20th centuries. Within the first 1 year, the National Veterinary Research Institute was producing anti-rinderpest hyperimmune serum, becoming a pioneering institute in the production of veterinary, biological, and therapeutic in West Africa. The current mandate of the National Veterinary Research Institute has expanded to encompass a broad range of activities to support animal production and health in Nigeria and beyond. This includes research into all aspects of animal diseases, treatment and control, development and production of animal vaccine, sera and biological to meet national and regional demands, provision of surveillance and diagnosis of animal diseases in Nigeria, the introduction of exotic livestock to improve egg, meat, and milk production, provision of support services to poultry and livestock farmers, provision of training in veterinary laboratory technology, animal health, and production technology. The scope of the Institute's mandate is expanding with corresponding increase in national population and animal production. The impact of the Institute is not yet felt in as much degree as expected in many states in the north, where it is located, and other parts of the country, especially states that have climatic conditions favorable to animal production. Also, the vaccine research production carried out by 6 independent departments of the National Veterinary Research Institute and driven by national and regional priorities, government policy, private sector demand, based on data relating to important endemic diseases, have been effective in response to animal tropical diseases, but are equally not adequate in covering the vast national landscape in view of its huge animal potentialities. This development was largely contributed to decay, closure, and invisible state of our veterinary clinic and centers in many parts of the country. In order to sustain this mandate, the National Veterinary Research Institute has over the years struggled to maintain its 23 outstation laboratory distributed throughout Nigeria. These laboratories not only provide access to information regarding disease status across the country, but also serve as distribution point for the vaccines and provide support to vaccine update. This network of laboratories requires the National Veterinary Research Institute to integrate information on vaccine needs, production, and use to try to align vaccine production with the demand of livestock keepers and governmental properties. In the present circumstances, it is doubtful if the Institute can discharge its function given the limited number of laboratory stations, inadequate personnel, and evaluating framework for sustainable quality assurance of technical services. The above reality is also applicable in relation to effective translation of research products that can be practically applied on farm to benefit local end users in Nigeria. This requires sufficient research extension and liaison service division, which currently inadequate to undertake the planning and completion of on-farm adaptive research trial to validate technologies when they are applied in the context of standard husbandry practice. Against this background, the bill is proposed to establish proper veterinary research institute to address the gap apparently affecting the success of veterinary practice in Nigeria. Part 3 is the objective of the bill. Part 4 is the significance of the bill. Part 5 is content structure of the bill. Mr. President, my distinguished colleagues, let me use this medium to solicit your cooperation to support this bill for expeditious passage into law. Thank you.
Deputy Chief Whip.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. I'm Aliu Sabi Abdullahi, DVM. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, let me thank distinguished Senator Saidu Ahmed Al-Kali for sponsoring this bill. As a veterinarian, I want to thank you most sincerely because the NVRI, like he has said, is the only veterinary research institute saddled with the responsibility of conducting research across the entire country. And if you look at the livestock population in terms of cattle, sheep, goats, ruminants, that is small ruminants, and other domestic animals, to cover Nigeria as it is by one research institute, I think is something that we must review. And this bill offers us an opportunity to do so. Given the present situation where we are having increasing number of zoonotics, that is, diseases passed from animals to humans, it is also very trite that we should increase the number of veterinary research activity. By establishing this institute, Mr. President, the nation will be doing so. And I think the benefits are enormous. Without much ado, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, let me say that the bill is straightforward. It seeks to add another institute to complement the only one we have. And if you look at the location, I think it is right, because the Northeast is one of the very heavy livestock, dominant geopolitical zones. So if we do so, Mr. President, we will be helping to provide opportunity for sound research so that the productivity of our livestock will increase. Mr. President, I urge my colleagues to support that this bill be read the second time. I shall submit, Mr.
Senator Ahmed Anjuma.
You people have blocked.
Thank you, Mr. President. I am Mohammed Anjuma Goje, representing Gombe Central. Mr. President, I stand to support this very, very important bill that is meant to enhance the production of livestock in Nigeria. It only makes sense as the only research institute concerned with veterinary was established since 1924. And since then, no additional one has been established. So, the one proposed for Gombe will really take care of the northeast region where there is high production of cattle in Borno, in Adamawa, in Taraba, in Yobe. These are well-known cattle producing states. And the location of Gombe is very central. Gombe shares border with Yobe, with Borno, with Adamawa, with Taraba and Bauchi. And therefore, the establishment of this institute would definitely enhance livestock production. And therefore, Mr. President, and since we have only one institute, and if you look at the proliferation of other institutions in Nigeria since the colonial time to date, it's only natural that we need to have additional institutes, even beyond one. We may need another one, probably taking care of the Northwest, because the Northwest is also producing a lot of cattle. But I think this one is apt, it's timely, and it's cost-effective. Therefore, Mr. President, I support this bill, and I urge my colleagues to support this bill. Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Idigan.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. I am Senator Idi Gyang, representing the very good people of Plateau North. And I rise, Mr. President, to speak to this very bill that seeks to establish an additional National Veterinary Research Institute in Gombe. And acknowledging distinguished Senator Saidu Ahmed Al-Kali, the sponsor of the bill, acknowledging that the National Veterinary Research Institute, which is currently involved in my constituency, has played a very, very strategic role in dispensing its core mandate. And like he said in the bill, the institution has 28 outstation laboratories distributed throughout Nigeria. And this new institution, he said, is intended to support the overstretched only National Veterinary Research Institute.
And since this institute is not going to affect the existence of National Veterinary Research Institute VOM, it is necessary to allay the fears of the people of this nation that nothing will happen to National Veterinary Research Institute VOM. Rather, the services will be expanded and it will provide opportunity for the Northeast to also have the presence of this research institute. It's on this basis that I want the people of my constituency to know that this bill is not antagonistic. This bill does not seek to extinguish Veterinary Institute VOM, but rather is to expand the services. To that extent, I stand in support of the establishment of an additional veterinary institute to the one that is already involved for the good of the nation and the betterment of our citizens. And to that extent, I want to assure people that National Veterinary Institute, Research Institute VOM will not be affected in any way. Thank you, Mr. President and distinguished colleagues.
The Deputy Leader of the Senate.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I rise to support that this bill be read the second time. And I want to thank the sponsor of this bill for, bringing up this bill at this time. Mr. President, for a long time, the livestock have been the source of protein for Nigerians. And we've been talking about diversification of our economy. I believe that if we properly organize the livestock sector, it can contribute a lot to revenue generation, even in terms of foreign exchange. Now, we derive certain products from our livestock, hides, milk, and a research institute like this will be able to go into areas of producing new breeds that will be able to compete with foreign breeds. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, Argentina relies wholly on the livestock sector, and it exports a lot of livestock outside the country from which it derives foreign exchange. So in our effort to diversify our economy, livestock can be a contributor to foreign exchange earner. I therefore support that this bill be read the second time. Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Alero.
Thank you, Mr. President. I remain Muhammad Adam Alero, representing the good people of Kebbi State. Mr. President, I rise to lend my support to this bill for so many reasons. Number one, we are talking about diversification of our economy. And if we are diversifying our economy, agriculture should be on the front burner. Livestock production is key to diversification of our economy. And there is need for research in livestock to improve varieties, to improve feeding, and to also provide vaccines for these animals. Mr. President, right now there is a lot of controversy on ranching and open grazing. There is no way you can stop open grazing if you don't have this kind of institutes all over the country. The livestock production in Jos, I will say, is overstretched. There is no way it can cover the whole of Nigeria. So there is need
to decentralize it, establish as many research institutes as possible to cater for the millions of animals we have in the country. And we are not only talking about cows, goats, and sheep. We are even talking about poultry. Poultry farming is another aspect of livestock production. And I sincerely support this bill. I urge all my colleagues to do that. Extension service is also very, very important. And it is in this light that I see the rationale of bringing this bill. We are currently importing a lot of vaccines in the country, and simply because the research institute in Vaughan cannot produce enough vaccines to cover the whole country. So it is very timely and apt for the establishment of another veterinary research institute. And if we have 10 of them, the better for the country. This is the only way we can stop overgrazing. Mr. President, animal production is very important to food security. It provides protein for the people, and hides and skin can also be used to produce leather goods and even export them to earn foreign exchange. So, Mr. President, this bill is good for the country, and I urge all my colleagues to support it. Thank you very much.
Is there anybody against the bill? Those who vote that this will be now read the second time, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Floor of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to establish the National Veterinary Research Institute Gombe to be charged with the responsibility of facilitating research in animal disease control, nutrition and standardization of manufactured animal feeds and for related matters 2022 SB 782 second reading.
A bill for an act to establish the National Veterinary Research Institute Gombe, charged with the responsibility of facilitating research in animal disease, control, nutrition, and standardization of manufactured animal feeds, and for related matters 2022 second reading taken. And the bill is referred to the Committee on Agriculture and Rural Development to report back within 4 weeks. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the third order of the day is a report on the National Transport Commission Establishment Bill 2022. This report was presented last week to the Committee of the Whole. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, will recall that this bill was recommitted to the Committee of the Whole on Wednesday, 26 January 2022. But further consideration of the bill was deferred to allow the observations of Mr. President on the bill to be distributed to the distinguished senators for contextual consideration. Mr. President, you may therefore invite distinguished Senator Abdul Fattah Buhari, Senate Chairman of the Committee on Land Transport, to brief the Senate on the observations made by Mr. President, Commander-in-Chief, for clarification before we recommit the bill back to the Committee of the Whole for further legislative action. I so move, Mr. President.
The Senator Abdul Fattah Buhari.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, we passed this bill sometime last year, and the House of Representatives also passed the bill. And the President and Presidency now raised some observation, 33 clauses out of the 110 clauses. And the Minister of Justice now invited all the stakeholders to you, all the ministry, all the other agency, we went including National Assembly. While in Uyo, we now find out that most of the observations that they raised were very, very minute, and then we adjusted it, and it's now in the big, in the main bill. Mr. President, one of the observations they raised is number one. Instead of the agency going directly to the presidency to get approval, they now say they should go through the minister of in the agency, so that they will be the agency will submit their report to the ministry, and the minister will now take it to FED. And we have already amended that observation. Secondly, there is a proposed, one of the second one, I just pick about 3 or 4 to explain to my colleague. This is subject to the provision of the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Act. Ensure consumer protection and the Act number 1, 2018, quality of services in the regulated transport sector. In case of any conflict between this act and any other sector legislation on the economic regulatory function, the power of the Commission, the provision of this act shall prevail. That was the initial provision. And then the amendment and then the observation that they asked us to do, which we have done, is subject to the provision of the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Act. Ensure Consumer Protection Act number 1, 2018, quality of services provided the regulated transport sector. In case of any conflict between this act and any other legislation on the economic regulatory function, the power of the Commission, the provision of the act shall prevail. And lastly, another one that they raised is under the clause 3. Upon commencement of this act, the Nigerian Shipper Council as the interim economic regulator for the port and the relevant and qualified staff together with the person employed by any other legacy agency as may be required by the Commission are transferred to the Commission and deemed to form the initial staffing of the Commission in line with the provision as contained under this Act. That is, as it affects matters under this Act, in particular as set out in the 3rd schedule. And the amendment and then the observation that they asked us to do, which we have done, is upon the commencement of this Act, the Nigerian Shipper Council as the interim economic regulator for the port and its relevant and qualified staff together with such number of persons employed by any other legacy agency as may be required by the Commission are transferred to the Commission and deemed to form the initial staffing of the Commission in line with the provision contained under this Act, insofar as it affects matters under this Act, and in particular as it is out in the 3rd schedule. This is what happened to the old 33 clauses which we've already done, sir.
Any comments? You are the DSP.
Mr. President of the Omo Agege Delta Central Senatorial District, Mr. President, my comment is might be a little bit cosmetic, but it is in line with our recent extant practice dealing with the power of appointment of the chairman and the chief executive of these parastatals. Mr. President, I take you to page 65. Sorry, page 6. That would be clause number, which would do this? 8. Subsection 3. It says the chairman and members Page 6.
Page 6.
Yes, page 6.
Go ahead.
No, but he needs to. Huh? He's the one that will roll on it now. If he doesn't see it, he can't.
Albert, allow us to continue with our proceedings. Please step aside.
Senator Albert, you are protected. Huh? Yes, I think so. He needs to be protected. Okay, DSP.
Page 6, Mr. President. That will be the stakeholders column, I believe. Subsection 3. He says, the chairman and members shall be appointed by the president on the recommendation of the minister. Mr. President, in line with our recent extant practices, you should just read, the chairman and members shall be appointed by Mr. President. We don't need to specify on the recommendation. The president is free to receive advice and recommendation from the minister or indeed anybody, but we should not write it into the law. We've made this argument severally, and I think this chamber has brought it severally in most of the bills that have come before us. So I think we should just make that amendment. Thank you, Mr. President.
Okay, well, it's when we come to the clause by clause consideration that can be amended if it is seconded and voted favorably. So is there any other comment? Otherwise, leader, committee of the whole.
Mr. President, in view of the fact that the observation that we have made last week on this very important bill has now been satisfied, and amendments and observations made by Mr. President has received the support of members of this distinguished chamber, I rise to a motion that the Senate resolves in the committee of the whole to reconsider and adopt this report. I so submit.
Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion that the Senate resolves into committee of the whole to consider the report, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. This is now a refined and well sanitized report on this bill, because all the contentious areas have been addressed. So we'll be a little bit fast. But let me also mention this. Maybe we should find a way around it as quickly as possible. We may adopt the amendment sought by the DSP. We did that previously, and the House did not do like we did. They maintained on the advice of the minister. So we need to do something. I think this may be at a leadership level for us to engage with the House. Otherwise, on this little thing, we have to be setting up harmonization committees. And of course, it's worth it, but it's going to be eating into our resources. If we agree with the House that this we should be doing, And we should be able to convince them that whenever they have something like this, they should treat it, remove the advice of the minister, so that we don't have to be going into harmonization or conference committee because of just this simple thing. So we'll talk to them, DSP. I think we need to engage them so that we'll be on the same page all the time when it comes to this one. Those know that clause 1, clause 2, clause 3, clause 4, establishment of the National Transport Commission, clause 5, functions and powers of the commission, stand part of the bill, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Those who are at clause 6, consultation, on page 5. Clause 7, relationship of the commission with the minister. Clause 8, membership of the commission. Clause 8, DSP.
Clause 8, subsection 3, is to be amended to read: the chairman and members shall be appointed by the president, period. And 6, the deletion on the recommendation of the minister. I so move.
Okay, yes. Those who are at clauses 6 and 7 stand part of the bill, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Those who are at clause 8 as amended stand part of the bill, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Clause 9, clause 10 is on page 8. Clause 11, remuneration and allowances. Clause 12, clause 13, and clause 14 stand part of the bill, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Clause 15, executive commissioners, on page 11. Clause 16, the secretary to the board. Clause 17, clause 18, clause 19, and clause 20, application of surplus revenue. Stand part of the bill, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Clause 21, borrowing powers, on page 13. Clause 22, annual reports. Clause 23, budget and expenditure. Clause 24, financial year and audit of commission's accounts. Those in favor of those clauses stand part of the bill, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Clause 25 on page 15, regulations. Clause 26, clause 27, clause 28, clause 29, and clause 30 stand part of the bill, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Clause 31 on page 18, filing and publication of tariffs or charges by the commission. Clause 32, clause 33, clause 34, clause 35, and clause 36 stand part of the bill, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Clause 37 is access on page 22. Clause 38, clause 39, clause 40, clause 41, and clause 42 hindering access. Those in favor of those clauses stand part of the bill, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Clause 43 is inquiry about a significant infrastructure facility on page 25. Clause 44, clause 45, clause 46, clause 47, clause 48, clause 49, and clause 50 stand part of the bill, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Clause 51, Commission's power on competition matters on page 29. Clause 52, Clause 53, Clause 54, Clause 55, Clause 56, Clause 57, Clause 58, Clause 59, and Clause 60 on page 34. Those in favor that those clauses stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clause 61 on page 35, modification of directives. Clause 62, Clause 63, Clause 64, Clause 65, Clause 66, Clause 67, Clause 68, Clause 69, Clause 70 on page 39. Those in favor that those clauses stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clause 71, conduct of investigation on page 39. Clause 72, Clause 73, Clause 74, Clause 75, Clause 76, Clause 77, Clause 78, Clause 79, and Clause 80 on page 45. Those in favor that those clauses stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clause 81 is on page 46, financial and business records. Clause 82, Clause 83, Clause 84, Clause 85, Clause 86, Clause 87, Clause 88, Clause 89, and Clause 90, judicial review of decision on page 50. Those in favor that those clauses stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clause 91, right of appeal on page 50. Clause 92, Clause 93, Clause 94, Clause 95, Clause 96, Clause 97, Clause 98, Clause 99, Clause 100 on page 53, personal liability. Those in favor that those clauses stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clause 101, disclosure of information is an offense on page 53. 102, 103, 104, 105, 106, 107, 108. Those in favor that those clauses stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Those in favor that the interpretation on page 58 stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Those in favor that the short title stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Those in favor that the schedules 1 and 2 stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Those in favor that the long title on page 1 stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, I rise to move a motion that the chair reports progress. I so move.
Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion that the Senate reverse to plenary for the chair to report progress say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The Senate and the Committee of the Whole considered the National Transport Commission Establishment, ETC Bill 2022, and approved as follows. Long title as recommended, Clause 1 to 7 as recommended, Clause 8 as amended, Clause 9 to 108 as recommended, interpretation as recommended, Short title as recommended. Schedules 1 and 2 as recommended. Is this a true reflection of what transpired in the committee of the whole? Thank you. Leader of the Senate.
President, I rise to move that this bill be read the third time. I so move.
Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor that this bill be now read the third time, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to provide for the establishment of the Nigerian Safety Investigation Bureau for the regulation, prevention, and effective administration for safety investigation in Nigeria and for related matters 2022 SB 197 third.
A bill for an act to establish the National Transport Commission as independent multimodal economic regulatory authority and provide for a legal framework for the economic regulation of transport services in the industry and for related matters 2022 third reading taken and the bill is passed. Congratulations, Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the fourth order of the day is the presentation and consideration of the report of the Committee on the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, on the screening of the following persons for appointment as National Commissioners and Resident Electoral Commissioner. As they are as follows. 1. Malam Mohammed Haruna, Niger State, North Central, National Commissioner. 2. Mrs. May Agbamuche Umbu, Delta, South South, National Commissioner. 3. Okebu Kenneth Namdi, Abia, Southeast, National Commissioner. 4. Major General A.B. Al-Ali, retired, Adamawa, Northeast, National Commissioner. 5. Engineer Professor Rhoda H. Gomus, Bayelsa, South South, National Commissioner. 6. Mr. Sam Elumekun, Ondo, Southwest, National Commissioner. 7. Olani Olale Ijalaye, Ondo, Southwest, Resident Electoral Commissioner. Distinguished senators will recall that the request of Metropolitan Commander Ichibo was referred to the committee on Wednesday, 15 December 2021. Mr. President, you may wish to invite distinguished Senator Kabir Ibrahim Gaya, Chairman of the INEC Committee of the Senate, to move the motion for the presentation and consideration of the report.
Distinguished Senator Kabir Ibrahim Gaya.
Thank you, Mr. President. I am Kabiru Gaya, representing the people of Kano South from Kano State. Mr. President, I would like to move a motion that the Senate do receive and consider the report of Committee on Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, on the confirmation of the nomination of the following persons for appointment as National Commissioners and one resident electoral commissioner for Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC. I so move, Mr. President.
I need a seconder. Yes, very distinguished Professor Nora Ladi Dalut.
Thank you, Mr. President. Distinguished colleagues, I am Nora Ladi Dalut, representing Plateau South Senatorial District. I arise to support and to second the motion that the report on the Senate Committee on Independent National Electoral Commission be presented. I so second, Mr. President.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion that the Senate do receive and consider the report of the Committee on Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, on the confirmation of the nominations of the persons named as National Commissioners, a resident electoral commissioner for Independent National Electoral Commission, say aye. Those against, any the ayes have it. Chairman, you may lead the report, please. You may present the report.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, the Senate at its sitting on Wednesday, 15th December 2021, considered the request of Mr. President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria for confirmation of the underlisted nominees for appointment in National Commissioners and Resident Electoral Commissioner for the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, and in its wisdom, the Senate referred same to this committee through a referral order dated 21st December 2021 for further legislative action. The confirmation of the nomination for the appointment of nominations are as follows. Malam Mohammed Haruna, Niger. Order. No Central National Commissioner.
Please, distinguished colleagues, let's listen to our colleague in silence, and we should be discussing in low tones as our standing orders provide for.
Mr. President, number one, Mohammed Haruna from Niger State, North Central National Commissioner. Mrs. May Umbu, Delta South National Commissioner. Nkembu Kenneth Mandi, Abia Southeast National Commissioner. General A.B. Alkali, retired, Adamawa Northeast National Commissioner. Professor Rhoda H. Gumus, Bayelsa South National Commissioner. Mr. Sam Olumekun, Ondo Southwest National Commissioner, and Olale Ijalai, Ondo Southwest Resident Electoral Commissioner of the Independent National Electoral Commission was made under the provision of Section 1531F of the Constitution. Further, this request was made pursuant to the provision of Section 1541 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999 as amended, which requires the appointment of chairman and members of any of the bodies so established under Section 1531 shall be made by the President, and the appointment should be subject to confirmation by the Senate. Mr. President, there are nominations of 6 national commissioners and 1 resident electoral commissioner. We have invited them, sir, screen them, discuss with them on their curriculum, vitae, security clearance, and other relevant documents on all of them. Starting from Mohammed Harun, as I mentioned, I don't have to read his CV, the background is already attached. Then to Mrs. May Umbu, then to Ikibu Kenneth Namdi, then to Major General Abubakar Modibo Antali, then to Professor Rhoda Gumus, and Sam Olumekun MNI, and lastly, Olale Ijalai. Mr. President, all the nominees to determine the stability for the position for which they were nominated, the nominees were asked questions that bordered mostly on the integrity, landmark contribution, or achievement as commissioners in the case of returning nominees, opinion on the introduction of card readers, beavers, electronic voting, transmission, etc. 4 questions were asked them, and they proved to be sound, and they answered the questions properly. Mr. President, we have only received 1 petition in regard to Major General A.B. Alkali. But through the media, after we have submitted our report, we are hearing news on different persons again.
Well, let me read this. The committee received a petition from Taraba Elders Forum against the nomination of Major General A.B. Alkali retired over the seeming inconsistency in the rotation of the nomination. Upon to petition, the nomination started from Taraba 2003 to 2008, Commissioner from Taraba, Adamawa 2 from 2008 to 2015, Gombe in 2015 to 2021. The expectation is that the fair thing should do to rotate the nominee from Taraba, not any other state but Taraba. Writing to this, the committee resolved that all the three states, Taraba, Adama, and Gombe, had been nominated and benefited between 2003 to 2021. And it is therefore the prerogative of Mr. President to pick his nominee from any of the three states. So therefore, we didn't consider that petition. The members of the committee commended the nominees' impressive curriculum by Chief CB and Secretary answers to the question posed, and therefore recommend that Malam Muhammad Haruna, Mrs. May Umbu, Kwegu Kenneth Nnamdi, Major General A.B. Alkali, Engineer Professor Rhoda Bumul, Mr. Sam Olumeku MNA, and Olani Olali Ijalai be confirmed by the Senate of the Republic of Nigeria as National Electoral Commissioners and the Resident Electoral Commissioner rank of the Independent National Electoral Commission INEC. My distinguished colleagues, on behalf of the members of the committee, I wish to most sincerely thank the President of the Senate, Dr. Ahmed Lawan, and other principal officers, and indeed the entire distinguished members of this Senate, for giving the Senate Committee on Independent Electoral Commission INEC the opportunity to serve in this regard. We thank you all. I so move. Thank you, Mr. President.
The DSP.
Thank you, Mr. President. Ovi Omo Agege, Delta Central Senatorial District. Mr. President, I'd like to begin by thanking the Gaia-led committee on INEC for a terrific job they've done and have always done. Mr. President, this will not be my first time in rising to speak on INEC nominations from Mr. President. Mr. President, it's always been my position that elections have consequences. That the moment a candidate traverses the nooks and crannies, the length and breadth of this country, marketing their manifestos and why they should be elected to office, the moment the Nigerian electorate has the opportunity to make that decision, the winner has a right to work with whoever he chooses, subject, of course, to the qualifications and disqualification provisions of the Nigerian Constitution. Mr. President, for that reason, I want to commend President Muhammadu Buhari for these nominations, all 7 of them. These are very, very well accomplished people. The nomination is very well reasoned, and frankly, like before, I never expected anything less from Mr. President. Mr. President, sometime in 2016, I stood up here to speak on behalf of our nominee from Delta State in 2016. Speaking of Mrs. May Agbabuche Umbu. Mr. President, when I stood up at the time, I argued that her nomination was a nomination that had the backing of the entire Delta State. the 3 senatorial districts. For so many reasons, Mr. President, including but not limited to her intellect, her experience, especially as a lawyer, and also her integrity and her family heritage. Mr. President, the name Agbamuche in the legal circles in Nigeria and Delta State particularly is a very, very big name, a name known to everyone. So at that time, Mr. President, we didn't have any iota of doubt that she would do well if confirmed as National Commissioner. Mr. President, I stand here today full of pride that Mrs. May Agbamuche Umbu has not disappointed us as Deltans. She has served with distinction in her first tenure, and Mr. President has also recognized the distinction in her service, and that is why she has been re-nominated. Once again, Mr. President, I stand here again, this time even full of bigger pride to support this nomination. Mr. President, I have not had a chance to meet with all of them, but like I said, they are all very well qualified, going through their CVs and looking at their accomplishment. But I also like to speak just a little to commend the nomination of Mr. Kenneth Unandi Ukiagu from Abia State. One of the reasons I'm very, very intrigued about this appointment, this nomination, Mr. President, is that this will be the first time we're having, do I say, an establishment-grown product being nominated. I think Kenneth Ukiagu, my memory serves me very right, was one of the pioneer staff right there of INEC. And he has served with distinction in so many capacities in the logistics and the last procurement. Kenneth Ukiagu is a personal friend. I know him very well. I know he will serve with distinction. So once again, Mr. President, I commend Mr. President for his nomination and then request all of our colleagues to confirm all 7 of the nominees as recommended by Mr. President. Thank you so much for the opportunity, Mr. President.
Senator Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. President. My very highly respected colleagues. James Ebiowo, Manager, CON Delta South. Mr. President, thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak. Immediately after my brother, His Excellency, the Deputy Senate President. I may not have the luxury to speak, to have the length of time that he had to speak, because he is Deputy Senate President. But Mr. President, the fact remains that all that he has said about these nominations, they are correct. Mr. President, I want to thank the President for nominating people of integrity and capacity. Because even when there is a petition from Taraba elders as exposed by the committee, it's not about the integrity of the nominee. It's about rotation. And so the committee itself did not find anything difficult in dismissing the petition. So Mr. President has done well for the nominations of these very prominent and eminent Nigerians. And I want to also thank the committee ably led by Senator Gaya from Kano. While the work was being done at the committee level, somehow I veered into that particular committee meeting, and I saw them very busy, thoroughly doing the job given to them by the Senate. I sat down there for a long time, and I saw senators who really meant business, and they did well. Gaya and your colleagues, you have done justice to the work given to you by this Senate. Thank you very much for turning in this report very promptly, because everything about INEC is on the front burner in this country today, because the elections are pending. Mr. President, my highly respected colleagues, the nominees, as said by the Deputy Senior President, are people who have distinguished themselves in their various, places of work, and therefore today we are clearing them to do the job God has given them to do. And why I'm saying God has given them the job to do is that the job of an umpire, must be thoroughly unbiased. The job of an umpire can be likened to the job of a bishop who is looking after a whole diocese, or the one of a chief imam who is looking after the entire brethren of that location. The chief imam or the Lord Bishop will see every brethren as people who belong to God and therefore must be treated equally. So my appeal on this occasion is for these people, because from what I'm seeing, the mood of the Senate is to screen you people and clear you people immediately. And that is true because of who you are, because we know you for what you have done. Those who we didn't know before, we have been told that they are good people. Please justify the confidence given to you by the Senate on behalf of all Nigerians for you to go and do a good job. Mr. President, my highly respected colleagues, I will be failing while I am on my feet. And then after everything, I will sit down without saying a word or two about Agbamuche, Mr. Agbamuche. Mr. President, we are proud as Deltans. We do know that at a point in the history of this Senate, not quite long ago, certain things happened. But believe you me, Mrs. Agbamuche has been returned by the President because of who she is. Because of who she is. And by the grace of God, Agbamuche will improve on whatever qualities that we have seen already in her, which has brought her to this level. The President himself having confidence in her. Nigerians having confidence. This is a National Electoral Commission. So service is not just to Delta alone. If Mrs. Agbamuche has had any issue, perhaps there would have been a barrage of petitions against her. But behold, there is none from anywhere. So, Mr. President, we thank God for this product of Delta that is before Nigerians. Agbamuche will not disappoint us, and from what I'm seeing about the others, nobody will disappoint us. Mr. President, thank you for the opportunity you are giving to me to speak for this length of time. To God Almighty be the glory. I am very grateful. I'm very grateful. I'm very grateful. Thank you, Mr. President. Chief Whip. Chief Whip.
Thank you, Mr. President. Order. Thank you, Mr. President. The two speakers, both the Deputy Senate President and the manager of the Senate have already said enough. I would like, on behalf of the senators from Abia, to thank President Commander-in-Chief for the honor he has done to Abia State. We are very pleased that our brother Kenneth worked in INEC for 34 years plus. I had no problems with anybody. And Mr. President reposed that confidence in appointing him a national commissioner, which means he did very well. I want to urge my colleagues, as the Deputy Senate President already said, that the 7 people on the list have no question of integrity or are they capable of doing the job. This is why the committee of INEC, subcommittee of the Senate on INEC, have passed all of them. And I'm very proud of Senator Gaya, the former governor of that state, and his committee. And I want to thank all our colleagues. Let this submission be bipartisan. It's not going to be that one section of the I supported this position. I want to thank James Manager for coming clearly in supporting the 7 nominees, 7 people we are confirming today, because they are Nigerians. There are none of them there that is not a Nigerian. So I want to thank also the Senate President for their patience in listening to all the grammar they have spoken this afternoon. Thank you very much.
Senator Nicholas Tofomo.
My Senate President, sir, I'm very delighted that this appointment has no political coloration. And I want to thank the President of this country for doing a very good job. 2 of these people nominated are from Ondo State. We have Mr. Sam Olumekun-Ebenai and Mr. Olaniyi Ijalaye, LLM. Both of them are men of standing qualities. And I want to thank the President on behalf of Ondo State for putting the right people in the right place. Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Gabriel Suson.
Yeah, Mr. President, I'm Dr. Gabriel from Benue Northeast. Mr. President, I believe that if all the senators are to comment on the report of our colleague, they will be saying the same thing. I've seen out of 18 members of the committee, 14 signed. That is to show an overwhelming majority of approval for the names and the screening. So, Mr. President, I believe that instead of people commenting on individual nominees here, the committee have done a good work. All the committee members, virtually all of them signed. So, Mr. President, you just put the question. Let us just approve what has been sent here. These are people of integrity looking at their CVs and looking at their personalities. I don't think need much argument for us to continue. So let Mr. President just put the question and we pass the nominee as presented by the President, screen and approve by the distinguished committee on INEC, Mr. President. That is my submission.
Thank you very much. Leader of the Senate Committee of the Board.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, I rise to move a motion that this distinguished chamber resolve into the Committee of the Whole to consider this report. I so move.
Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion that the Senate resolves into Committee of the Whole to consider the report, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. to do approval. Will the Senate approve the nomination of Malam Mohammed Haruna from Niger State, representing North Central Zone as National Commissioner? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Will the Senate approve the nomination of Mrs. May Abamuche Mbu from Delta State, representing South Zone as National Commissioner? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Will the Senate approve the nomination of Uke Agu Kenneth Nnamdi from Abia State, representing Southeast Zone as National Commissioner? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Will the Senate approve the nomination of Major General A.B. Al-Ali, retired, from Adamawa State, representing Northeast Zone as National Commissioner? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Will the Senate approve the nomination of Engineer Professor Rhoda H. Gumus from Bayelsa State, representing South Zone as National Commissioner? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Will the Senate approve the nomination of Mr. Sam Olemeko from Ondo State, representing Southwest Zone as National Commissioner? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Will the Senate approve the nomination of Olani Olale Ijalae from Ondo State, representing Southwest Zone as Resident Electoral Commissioner? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, I rise to move that the chair resumes plenary in order to report progress. I so move.
Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion that the Senate reverse to plenary for the chair to report progress, say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The Senate and the Committee of the Whole considered the report of the Committee on the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) on the screening of Mr. President's nominees for appointment as commissioners of the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) and approved the nominations of Malam Mohammed Haruna, Niger State, North Central Zone National Commissioner, Mrs. May Abamuche Mbu, Delta State, South National Commissioner, Ukiagu Kenneth Nnamdi, Abia State Southeast National Commissioner, Major General A.B. Al-Ali, retired, Adamawa State Northeast National Commissioner, Engineer Professor Rhoda H. Gumus, Bayelsa State South National Commissioner, Mr. Sam Olumeko, Ondo State Southwest National Commissioner, Olale Ijalae, Ondo State Southwest Resident Commissioner. Is this a true reflection of what transpired in the Committee of the Whole? Thank you. We'll do confirmation. Will the Senate confirm the nomination of Malam Mohammed Haruna from Niger State, representing North Central Zone as National Commissioner? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The nomination of Malam Mohammed Haruna from Niger State, representing North Central Zone, is hereby confirmed as National Commissioner. Will the Senate confirm the nomination of Mrs. May Abamuche Mbu from Delta State, representing South Zone, as National Commissioner? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The nomination of Mrs. May Abamuche Mbu from Delta State, representing South Zone, is hereby confirmed as National Commissioner. Will the Senate confirm the nomination of Ukiagu Kenneth Nnamdi from Abia State, representing Southeast Zone, as National Commissioner? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The nomination of Ukiagu Kenneth Namdi from Abia representing Southeast Zone is hereby confirmed as National Commissioner. Will the Senate confirm the nomination of Major General A.B. Al-Ali, retired, from Adamawa State representing Northeast Zone as National Commissioner? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The nomination of Major General A.B. Al-Ali, retired, from Adamawa State representing Northeast Zone is hereby confirmed as National Commissioner. Will the Senate confirm the nomination of Engineer Professor Rhoda H. Gumus from Bayelsa State representing South Zone as National Commissioner? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The nomination of Engineer Professor Rhoda H. Gumus from Bayelsa State representing South Zone is hereby confirmed as National Commissioner. Will the Senate confirm the nomination? Will the Senate confirm the nomination of Sam Olomeku from Ondo State representing Southwest Zone as National Commissioner? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The nomination of Mr. Sam Olomeku from Ondo State representing Southwest Zone is hereby confirmed as National Commissioner. Will the Senate confirm the nomination? Will the Senate confirm the nomination of Olale Ijalae from Ondo State representing Southwest Zone? No. Will the Senate confirm the nomination of Olale Ijalae from Ondo State? Sorry, please, for the mix-up. Will the Senate confirm the nomination of Olale Ijalae from Ondo State as resident electoral commissioner? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The nomination of Olale Ijalae from Ondo State is hereby confirmed as resident electoral commissioner. Congratulations to all of them. And Nigeria is expecting a lot from them, and they will have a baptism of fire, because 2023 is just by the corner. In fact, the process has already started. INEC may soon announce the dates of elections and then the subsequent processes, and we expect nothing less than excellence from our electoral body. This Senate has confirmed national commissioners, resident electoral commissioners before. We have done this today, and INEC now will have full complement of the people that need to do the work. INEC also gets the support of this assembly through appropriations, and therefore INEC would have no reason not to perform. We are also expecting that the electoral bill amendment, the amendment of the electoral bill will be signed, and if that happens, INEC will have a document that will guide it through even the off seasons, probably before the 2023 general elections, and therefore Nigerians are expectant that INEC will perform creditably well. And for us in the National Assembly, we will always be there for INEC, because we believe that it is in the interest of Nigeria, in the interest of our people, the citizens, to have very free, transparent elections to determine the leadership of this country at all levels. Thank you very much. Congratulations to them once again. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the fifth order of the day is the consideration of the report of the Joint Committee
on national security and intelligence, defense, police affairs, and judiciary, human rights, and legal matters on the NSAS protest. The mayhem visited on the ancient city of Calabar, the first capital of Nigeria, on 23rd and 24th October 2020. The two senators will recall that the report of the Joint Committee was laid on Wednesday, 8th December 2021. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the single Senator Ibrahim Abdullahi Gobir, Chairman of the committee, to move the motion for the Senate to receive and consider the report.
The single Senator Ibrahim Abdullahi.
Thank you, Your Excellency, distinguished colleagues. My name is Senator Ibrahim Gobir, representing Sokoto East. I just have a small addendum here, sir. Maybe I can read it before I go into the main report.
You need to move the motion first. Is the addendum to the report? Is it to the report? Okay, move the motion first.
End the source protest. The mayhem, okay. The Joint Committee of National Security and Intelligence, Defense, Police, and Affairs, Police Affairs, Judiciary, Human Rights, and Legal Matters. Just 1 minute. I move that the Senate do receive the NSAS report, the mayhem visited on the ancient city of Calabar, the first capital of Nigeria, on 23rd and 24th October 2020. Your Excellency, I so move.
I need a seconder. Senator Ibrahim Kabir there. Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion that the Senate do consider the report of our Joint Committee on National Security and Intelligence, Defense, Police Affairs, and Judiciary, Human Rights, and Legal Matters on the NSAS protest, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Chairman, go ahead.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, distinguished colleagues. I just want to read an addendum to the report, and I go straight to observation and recommendation because it's a little bit bulky. With your permission, Your Excellency. The report on the NSAS protest, the mayhem visited on the ancient city of Calabar, the first capital of Nigeria, on 23rd and 24th October 2020. Mr. President, distinguished senators, you may recall that the Senate, at its sitting of Tuesday, 24th November 2020, debated on a motion on the devastating activities of NSAS protesters in the city of Calabar between 23rd and 24th October 2020, and subsequently mandated the Committees of National Security and Intelligence, Defense, Police Affairs, and Judiciary, Human Rights, and Legal Matters to investigate the matter and report back to the Senate for further action. In the course of carrying out its assignment, Senator Feburary representing Ocean West Senatorial District and the Chairman Senate Committee on Legislative Compliance approached the committee with a memo addressed to the Chairman detailing how his property was vandalized and looted by the NSAS protesters in the Oshobo, Ocean State, valued at 2.3 billion, 340 million, 72,600. And 73 naira 9 kobo only. He requested that the Joint Committee should incorporate his demands for compensation in its assignment. However, the Joint Committee cannot accept the demand because of the approval of the whole Senate I mean, because the approval of the whole Senate is required because our mandate is specifically for Calabar. Mr. President, distinguished senators, the Senate may wish to direct more appropriately on this issue because we have got the information about what happened to him in that area. If we would have to consider others, we would be glad to do so. Your Excellency, with your permission, the intention here is actually not to go through the whole report because it's bulky. But actually what we intend to do is to go through the observations and findings and then go straight to the recommendations. Yeah, can we do that, Your Excellency? Okay, thank you. So we can go to page 8 of the observations. Page 8. Yes, because we have executive summary. Do we have the executive summary here?
Page 61.
Huh?
Page 61.
Page 61? Okay. 61. Okay, so okay.
Page 8 is not observation.
Now we go to 61 for observations and findings. That is section 7, observations and findings. The Joint Committee, after a studious consideration of both and the written submissions made by the stakeholders and its visit to the city of Calabar, came up with the following observations. 1, that the end-of protest started on 8 October 2020 in Lagos and Abuja. However, it commenced principally in Cross River State on 12 October 2020. 2, that the protest turned violent in Cross River between 23rd and 24th October 2020, when it was hijacked by hoodlums and the miscreants who vandalized and looted both public and private property. 3, that the protest took a different dimension where private homes, businesses, and the other public property of both the federal and state government were vandalized and looted. The health facilities were also not left out, as both private and public health facilities were attacked, vandalized, and looted. 4, that at the time of the invasion of homes, the security agencies failed to promptly respond to distress caused from victims. Several victims got hint of the planned attacks before the actual acts. 5, that among those notable leaders whose property and the businesses were attacked were former governors of the state, His Excellency Senator Lele Imoke, His Excellency Mr. Donald Duke, Sabin, and the former senators from the state, Senator Gresham Bassi, Senator Victor Ndomaeba, Senator Bassi Ehu Henshaw, and a member of the House of Representatives, Eta Umbaro. Next page, number 6. That the police, Department of Services, and the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps were overwhelmed by the sheer number of the protesters who unleashed the mayhem on the city of Calabar. 8, that the Cross River State Government in the holistic approval set up a committee that verified and confirmed the number of property, both public and private, that were vandalized and looted. 9, that about 159 private and public property were vandalized and looted during the protest. 10. That the financial value of the vandalized property stock items were also submitted by the affected persons, verified by the committee set up by the governor, amounting to the tune of 73,69,634,615.7. That a letter was written to Mr. President by the governor of Cross River State, Senator Professor Ben Ayade, requesting for support stock funds in the sum of 73,699,634,615.7 only, to enable the state to rebuild, reconstruct, and compensate individuals and the groups who had lost property. 12. It was alleged that the carnage was perpetrated by non-indigents of the state. 13. It was also alleged by the police that it lacked adequate personnel, vehicles, arms, ammunition, and other tactical equipment for effective policing of the city of Calabar. 14. It was again alleged by the police that 106 suspects were arrested, 90% of which were indigents of Upper Ibom extraction, including 2 females. 15. That the internally displaced person of the Kasi Peninsula have not been resettled by the federal government. Neither has any kind of respite given to them. Number 16, that a significant proportion of the residents of Calabar are either unemployed or underemployed, giving rise to idleness and creating room for those unused energies be deployed to criminality and other antisocial ventures. 17, that as a result of the 16 above, there were incidents of kidnapping, banditry, armed robbery, rape, cultism, and other forms of criminality leveraging on the waterways, which were estimated to have 497 unguarded entry points in and out of Calabar and the Republic of Cameroon. 18. It was further alleged by the police that youths, both in secondary and tertiary institutions, are very much engaged in cultism and other forms of nefarious and antisocial activities. 19. The general problem of unemployment gave rise to youth restiveness. 20. That the present school-stroke educational system is skewed in such a way that it is devoid of functional, vocational, and technical skills, making the graduates of such system unsuitable for current realities. And that's why we have been advocating for functional education. 21, that the Department of State Services made it a duty to submit intelligence reports daily to the state governor and the other sister security agencies in Cross River State. 22, that prior to the end of such protests and when it subsequently became violent, the DSS dispatched intelligence to the state governor urging for the convocation of an emergency state security council meeting on the issue. 23rd, that the state security council meetings were regularly held prior to the 2019 general election and became irregular immediately after the election. 24, the DSS reported that there was no state security council meetings 8 months before the end of SARS protest. 25. That some citizens of Cross River State lost their valuables and property during the carnage, among whom were the following: His Excellency Donald Duke, former governor of Cross River State; His Excellency Nearly Imoke, also former governor of Cross River. Senator Victor Indomayaba, Senator Basi Henshaw, Senator Gasham Basi, Honorable Etan Borough, member of the House of Representatives. Other victims, as contained in the report of the Committee on Vandalization, Looting and Recovery of Indices set up by the Cross River State Government, see Appendix 1. 26. That not less than 45 property of the Cross River State Government, valued at 34,255,427,822.27 were destroyed. Okay, were vandalized and looted during the protest. 27. That not less than 45 property of the Cross River State Government valued at, this is a repetition. 28. That the Cross River State Government had written to both the Amnesty Office on the Niger Delta and the National Emergency Management Agency for assistance. However, the state is yet to receive any form of assistance from the federal government agencies. 29. That all the heritage centers, tourist edifices, and the other critical infrastructure in the Cross River have been completely looted and vandalized by the protesters. The government did not provide protection to these critical state and the federal government infrastructure. 30. That a certain Josie Oko, who was indicted by the DSS as one of the masterminds and the leaders of the protest, was subsequently appointed to serve also in the panel of inquiry set up by the government. A case of double standard. Recommendations. Right? Next page, that is 65. Page 65. The Joint Committee, after extensive deliberation on its findings, wishes to recommend as follows. 1. That there is need for regular and purposeful training of personnel of the security agencies to be in tandem with international best practices. Emphasis on civil and human rights, especially during protests. Also, the rules of engagement should be strictly observed. 2. The federal government of Nigeria should consider the peculiarity of Cross River State with a very large landmass, over 6,000 Cameroonian refugees, influence of Amazonian army at the border with the Cameroon, the large number of militants and those granted amnesty by the state government, but yet to be integrated into the national amnesty program. As a threat to the Cross River State security, the state government appeals that should be given priority in the area of security by the federal government. 3. That the federal government should evolve and implement holistic reforms in the Nigerian police that aimed at employing more able-bodied personnel. 2. Providing adequate vehicles to the various commands. 3. Injecting more financial resources provision of adequate and relevant arms, ammunition, and other policing gadgets. 5. Regular, adequate, and strategic training to be in tandem with international best practices. This will ensure and guarantee effective and efficient policing and the coverage of the policy. 4. The educational program and the curriculum should be geared towards including functional education in the individuals, empowering them with academic, technical, vocational capabilities. Graduates should be able to be entrepreneurs and job creators or living schools instead of waiting endlessly for non-existing white-collar jobs from government. 5. That the Cross River State government should be advised to hold regular state security meetings to ensure total safety and its citizens, safety of its citizens and their property. It should treat the regular intelligence report of the DSS with uttermost dispatch. 6. That the Amnesty Office and the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, should provide relief materials and assistance to the victims of the mayhem. 7. That the federal government should provide relief support to identified individuals of Cross River State who lost their valuables and property during the carnage. Some of these persons and the estimate of properties lost are as follows. His Excellency Donald Duke, former governor of Cross River, lost 200 billion. His Excellency Senator Leo Emoki, former governor of Cross River, also lost 506 million. Senator Victor Indoma Eba San lost 1.5 billion. Senator Basi Ewa Hansho lost 9 billion 302,660,000. Senator Gresham Basi lost 4 billion 89,780,000 to the mayhem. Honorable Eta Mboro lost 150 million naira. Other victims lost 12.137 billion. Number 8, the federal government should come to the aid of Cross River State government by the provision of funds to defray the cost of rebuilding and reconstructing the vandalized and the looted property valued at 34 billion 427, 255, 822.45 only. Number 9, the federal government should provide the funds for the reconstruction and the rebuilding of vandalized and looted property of all the federal government agencies in Cross River State, valued at 10,927,321,757.5 only. Number 10, that the Cross River State government should be advised to support the state security bureaucracy, especially and equipment-wise, to make it more purposeful and effective. There must be a healthy synergy between the state government and all the federal government security agencies domiciled and operating in the state for robust interchange and the comprehensive deliverables. Conclusion. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, on behalf of the Joint Committee, I wish to thank the leadership of the Senate and the entire Senate for the confidence reposed on us to undertake this national assignment. Thank you, Your Excellency.
Any comments? Senator Mohamed.
Thank
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. Although this report is meant to cover Cross River, but it has national application because lack of regular security meeting is common in most of the states of the Federation. We know quite a number of governors are residing here in Abuja. They hardly go to their states and conduct security meeting or executive, council meeting. Unlike what it used to be before, that every week governors do hold security meeting or council meeting. So it should cover the whole country, not only Cross River State. Secondly, Mr. President, unemployment is also a general phenomenon in virtually all the states of the Federation. It is not only in Cross River where we have unemployment or underemployment. It is everywhere, and there is need for both the federal government and the state government to embark on policies and programs that will employ a large number of our youth. This is the only way you can curb the insecurity situation in the country. Mr. President, equally important is the issue of poverty. Poverty is so pervasive in the country, and there is need for both the states and the federal government to equally embark on programs that will drastically reduce poverty all over the country. Yeah, it is true. Functional education is also a remedy for unemployment. Our curriculum our curriculum should be organized in such a way that after graduating, you will be able to provide employment for yourself and even for others. Yet, it is also true there is no synergy between the agencies, security agencies in the state. The police will do its own work separately, the SSS will do its own work separately, the army, and also the civil defense. So there is need for synergy between all the security agencies in the state. So even though this report is meant for Cross River, but it has general application to virtually all the states of the Federation, I therefore support the approval of this report by this committee, but it should not be limited to Cross River. It should be nationwide. Thank you, Mr. President. That's the few comments I have.
Thank you. Distinguished Senator Basiru Ajibola.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm Dr. Surajuddin Ajibola Bashiru. I represent Osun Central Senatorial District. The point I'm raising is not just a general comment on the report. It's to raise issue of constitutional jurisdiction as to the subject matter and as to specific content, whether it will be within the various of this hallowed chamber to consider some of the subjects. I say this with all sense of responsibility and without prejudice to the fact that I'm also one of those people that were involved in the mindless attack by some criminals masquerading as protesters during the EndSARS process. But be that as it may, we cannot afford to take a position on the basis of personal sentiment and emotion. I look at the term of reference which is indicated on the report. It is stated that the mandate the Committee on National Security, Intelligence, Defense, Police Affairs, Judiciary, Human Rights, and Legal Matters to investigate the invasion of the ancient city of Calabar
on the 24th day of October 2020. By our Constitution, Mr. President, Section 4 of the Constitution defines the scope of our legislative powers. Section 6 of the Constitution vested adjudicatory powers in our courts. I've looked at certain findings of this report, specifically those seeking to adjudicate and seeking to specify quantum of damages and giving specific recommendations as regards compensation payable. With respect to the committee, with respect to this annual chamber, I think that is going beyond the constitutional scope of the work of the National Assembly. And secondly, too, we also operate a federal system of government. I'm not oblivious of the fact that almost all states where this incident occurred, pursuant to the Tribunal of Inquiry law of their states, made set up committees which have made recommendations for which findings have been made and specific white paper issued in that regard as to the veracity or otherwise of what happened and making specific recommendations. And I also see, therefore, even from this report, paragraph 8, 9, 10, and 11 of the findings of this committee, where attempts were being made to, sorry, I want to scroll this specific page. That's page 62, paragraph 8, 9, 10, 11, stating that the Cross River State government, in a holistic approval, set up a committee that verified and confirmed the number of property, both public and private, that were vandalized and looted. That about 159 private and public property were vandalized, looted in protest, that the financial value is about 73 billion, and so on and so forth. It appears that the finding is just mirroring and regurgitating the finding of the Cross River State government. The question we can ask is that are we sitting here on appeal, or are we sitting here to validate a finding of a federative unity in the country? So with respect to those of us who are victims of that incident, we should not do something that seek to portray the National Assembly as a self-seeking institution and an avenue for us to preside over the question of compensation, quantum to be awarded, and so on and so forth. So I will suggest that it will be in the interest of caution that these reports, particularly recommendations as it affects issue of damages, compensation, should be the countenance in the interest of justice and in line with the constitutional mandate. Thank you, Mr. President.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, I am anchoring my contribution.
Distinguished colleagues, leader, just a second. We have only 4 minutes to conclude everything. So it's not going to be like we are going to debate this issue. There is a constitutional order. So the leader is going to give us maybe a final observation on this, then we vote on the recommendation.
On what the Senator Adam Aleru has said and what my colleague and friend, our spokesman, has said, for me, there are 2 issues here. The states and the governors have a responsibility for security in their own environment. I'm talking here as a layman, not like Basiru, who is a landed person in these areas. So for me, it's not just in Cross River State when this thing happened. I think the Senate set up this committee just to have a glimpse of the real thing that had happened in one state. It happened almost in about 3/4 of the state of the Federation. Now, if we are to assess damages and say that we are going to pay one state, all other states are going to be like a deluge, they will come here. And the responsibility for security in this time of the responsibility of the states. The governors are the security officers of their states. Therefore, the governors should learn to handle and conduct security committee meetings, just like Senator Aleru has said. If some of them are up and doing, at least the scale of this kind of vandalization will not have been possible. And I also agree with the recommendation that this is just a bird's eye view of what had happened. Therefore, I think the monetary recommendations that are here in this report should just be noted and passed on to the state governments, and there are the various security related panels that they set up to handle this thing for their own consideration. This is just a contribution that the senators have made, and we should send it back to Cross River State. The damage that has been inflicted, and the state should find resolutions of some of these issues that are involved. So we don't need to debate further about this matter. The next issue that I consider important is on page 64 of the report, where on item 30, they say there was one certain Jesse Oko who was indicted by the DSS as one of the masterminds and leaders of the protest. And to make matters worse, the same person was appointed to serve on the panel of inquiry that the same state government raised up. I think if there is a person that has been indicted, even by the DSS, which is a state organ, that person should take that person to court. You know, he should be taken to court, and the state government should be reprimanded for honoring a person of this character, you know, with appointment with a position in an investigating committee. You are the thief, then you are brought as part of the investigation of the theft. How can you find information that is necessary for any indictment?
Yeah, leader, we have 1 minute to consider the. Well, I agree with submissions by Senator Alero, Senator Surajuddin Jubola, and the leader. Those things that require money to be approved here, I think we don't have to go into that. Instead, we should refer them to the state NSAS committee setup. So that will affect recommendations 7, 8, and 9. Whether that will be on page 66. So we'll take the recommendations 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 10, and I'll put all of them. For one, I will mention the recommendations. They don't have anything to do with money. They are advice to the state government, to the security agencies, and so on. And then those 7, 8, and 9, we treat them as proposed by the leader, and of course, so we are on page 65. Those in favor of recommendation 1, recommendation 2, recommendation 3, recommendation 4, recommendation 5, and 6, and 10 on page 67. Those in favor of those recommendations say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Then recommendations 7, 8, and 9. Deputy Senate President, can you give us can you word it the way it should be, how we transmit that, or Jibola? Senator Basiru, how do you want it to be?
That Senate notes recommendations 7, 8, and 9, and shall transmit same for consideration by the Cross River State government.
Seconder. Okay, Deputy Chief Whip.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of recommendations 7, 8, and 9 as amended. Is it as amended? Say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, I rise to move that this Senate do adjourn.
No, leader. We have to stand down the consideration of the remaining items.
Mr. President, I rise to move that we step down consideration of all other items of our order paper to another legislative day. I so move.
Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion that the Senate stands down the consideration of the remaining items on the order paper to another legislative day, say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Adjournment.
Mr. President, I rise to move that having come to the conclusion of all our items on the order paper for today, I rise to move that the Senate do adjourn until Tuesday, 8 February 2022 at 10 a.m. prompt. I so move.
Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, before I put the question, I know that our committee on the review of the 1999 Constitution is working very hard. This committee should continue to do its work. Tomorrow is another day for you to utilize. And the other committees that have issues from this Senate, whether bills or some referrals, please, you have tomorrow to work on them so that we consider them next week. With this, those in favor of the motion for adjournment, that the Senate do adjourn till 8th day of February at 10 a.m. from say aye. Those against any, the ayes have it. The Senate is hereby adjourned to Tuesday, 8th day of February 2022 at 10 a.m. prompt.